9 o'clock.
I do know that I'll start.
So let's get started. Good morning, everybody. I'm gonna hand it over to my associate Paul,
Yeah, right. Good point.
who's gonna sit here and do, oops, our presentation. Can you guys see my screen? And do you see the slideshow?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Can you still see the slideshow?
Yep.
Awesome.
Fabulous.
Oh, just the right arrow.
All right,
Thank you.
that'll do it.
Double
morning.
mask. Oh,
Got double mast, right? Suspenders and a belt. So welcome to 1 Million Cups Albuquerque. We're caffeinating entrepreneurs nationwide every Wednesday. And our goal is connection, presentation, and education for entrepreneurs. So 1 Million Cups is sponsored by the Kauffman Foundation, and our mission is to lower the barrier of access to education, resources, and connection for new and aspiring entrepreneurs. It's not easy being an entrepreneur, and you don't always know where to turn to for help, and this is one of those places that you can go. So what's our mission? We work to that because the Kauffman Foundation gives us a standard format, gives us basic training, and we create a consistent program for presenters nationwide. And what this means, if you go to any 1 Million Cups anywhere else in the country, and I encourage you to do that either virtually or physically when things open up a little bit more, you'll be in a room full of people you don't know, but you'll find the format and the questions very familiar. So that's something the Kauffman Foundation provides for us. But at the same time, every community has its own strengths and weaknesses. And so every 1 Million Cups instance is somewhat unique that way. Here's a map of the 1 Million Cups chapters in the Southwest region. And New Mexico has, or the Albuquerque chapter has achieved the distinction of being the most successful chapter in New Mexico by having a small denominator. But there are other chapters, and I've actually physically visited 2 of these in Texas. And so we have a thriving 1 Million Cups culture here in the Southwest. So what are our key pillars? Presentations, not pitches. So in a pitch, typically you're trying to extract money from wealthy people. And so your company is infallible. It has this tremendous advantage. It has proprietary technology. It has a dream team. And all you need is a cash infusion. So in a 1 Million Cups presentation, it's a little more honest. You open the kimono a little bit and tell people about some of the challenges that you're facing and some of the areas that you need help. And when you reach out to the community that way, you'll find that people are either able to help you or they know someone who can. So that's the value of doing presentations instead of pitches. We go for authentic connections, not just networking. We're not speed dating, speeding through the room, handing out business cards. We're trying to find people. What's going on there?
I'll let him in. Thank you.
I'll admit them all. I admit everything, everyone.
You're in control, Paul.
Thanks.
Are they all in?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're done.
Minimize
Okay.
that.
Welcome newcomers. How do I get rid of this?
Thanks.
It doesn't want to play with me.
I think you're going to.
I have Mac fingers. All right, so we are run for the community, by the community. So the 1 Million Cups organizing team, we're all volunteers, which is not to say we don't receive compensation. The psychological compensation from knowing you're helping to stand up entrepreneurship in Albuquerque is immense. And we encourage people to either become organizers or ask the organizers if there's anything they can do. And I think you'd be surprised what a rich experience that can be. So we're radically and intentionally inclusive. We'd like all different kinds of entrepreneurs, and we'd like all different kinds of businesses. So some businesses are just barely past the whiteboard stage. Other businesses have been in business for a long time, and they're undergoing a major pivot. So whatever it is, if they need help from the community and advice from the community, that's what Million Cups is for. Now it doesn't want to do that. Oh, there we go. 1 Million Cups values and practices. All right, here we are. We're safe and supportive. So if people come in here and they're really rank amateurs or they have ideas that aren't too viable, we are here to support their idea that they'd like to be an entrepreneur and maybe gently nudge them in the direction of something that's going to be more successful. We're inclusive and diverse, so all kinds of people participate in 1 Million Cups, and you should be comfortable working with all different kinds of people. We're also respectful and considerate to our presenters and to each other. Sometimes we disagree, but it's better to remain silent sometimes than to fully express your idiosyncratic feelings. And if you can't color inside the lines that way, spend Wednesday morning somewhere else. Thank you. We encourage people to apply to present. If you have a for-profit business, meaning the business plan that you have sells something for less than it costs to produce it, and you've sold something to someone who's not your mom, you're welcome to present at 1 Million Cups. We prefer companies that are less than 5 years old and that are struggling to scale, but that have products on the market. So once you apply, we'll assign you a coach and we'll get you on track to give a good presentation. This is our organizing team. I'm Paul Sauter. We have Lisa Atkins, who's also Fat Pipe ABQ, which is where we have our meetings. Eric Renz Whitmore, Matt Gretton, Adam Sparks, and Kiana Yamada. So thanks to all our organizers for keeping things moving. We also like to thank our sponsors, Fat Pipe, which is a tremendous place to meet. Every time 1 Million Cups Albuquerque has met, we've met here at Fat Pipe. So that's a record going back, 5 or 6 years, and it's been a great run. We'd like to thank Jason Collins Photography for making us look good. More than organized for helping straighten out our thoughts, but also providing coffee creamer. GOS Capital, our coffee sponsor, and Noventum Custom Software Development, who's responsible for donuts and other baked goods that show up for people meeting in person. Unfortunately, we don't have the bandwidth to download donuts to those of you online.
Someday. You're
Someday.
fun today.
Okay. And without further ado, let's kick it off. And Chap is going to tell us about his company.
I think we're getting an update from Rerouted because they've been here before, so this is cool.
It's been a while though.
Yeah, let me put the video on you.
See some of my lovely teammates.
Everybody see our presenter? You can hear him okay? Let me
Hi,
share
everybody.
the slides.
Oh, it's good to be back. You're right, Lisa. It's been 18 months since I've been here, sometime last year.
Yeah.
But it's good to be back. Lots has changed since my last update. I'm excited to tell you guys all about what we've been doing. And I got a bunch of my teammates here that I hope once we get into the discussion, we can really include them. I brought them so that they could all benefit and gain access to this network, which I found super amazing since we've been back here in Albuquerque. So my company, our company is Rerouted, and we're working really hard to make it easier than ever for people to buy, sell, and donate their used outdoor gear online. You can see here, this is a garage that I think many of us are familiar with. And this was really the origin story of Rerouted. Was my garage looked just like this, and 80% of that stuff I wasn't using. And there had to be a better solution to get that stuff back out into the world and into the hands of the next generation of wilderness advocates. So that's really what spawned what has now very much become a technology platform. But it all started because too much stuff in our garage and not an easy way to deal with it. So I started talking a little bit about the problem. But what the problem is it takes too much time, energy, and effort to get this stuff listed on the internet. If you're not selling a $5,000 mountain bike, the margins are just not big enough to make it worth that time and energy. So what we're doing is building an automated platform that will really instantaneously do all of this work for our sellers and do all of this work for our buyers. So the solution is making it instant, easy, and profitable. And we're doing that with our technology so that your garage can look like the very clean garage over here that we all aspire to see. Well, I know this. It'll never look like that. Yes, you can go to the next slide. So, as I've been touching on, there's at least 65 million people out here that have all of this stuff in their garage, and we estimate that there's $100 billion worth of gear just collecting dust that needs to get moved back into the cycle because it's all functional and really lasts. What we're doing with all of our data, with our mobile app, with our website, is making it so people and gear can match instantly. that this 5-minute exchange can happen. You can snap a photo, that gets pushed to the website. We know all this information about that gear, so we can match it exactly with the buyer. Say, I want this pair of tennis shoes again, size 10 La Sportiva shoes. I can plug that into our website, and then the second that match comes through, I'll get notified on my mobile app. I can hit buy and it can be on my doorstep in 3 days. The secret sauce is making this system happen to feel like you're shopping for something new on an Amazon, on an REI. You can go to the next slide, Lisa. You're okay. Whew. All right. So I've given you guys kind of the shortened version of what my longer pitch is. So this competitive analysis slide really talks about the things that make us different in a more technical way, the bootstrapped KPIs that we've seen success with so far, and then kind of our business model. So really what makes us different is that we're not an advertising platform like eBay, like Craigslist, like any of the competitors. We don't want you to be on our website. In fact, our goal is to make it so you have more time to go play outside instead of spending time searching for this stuff. I don't know the last time you guys tried to find a pair of skis on Craigslist. 9 out of 10 of those things, they're not skis. They're boots, they're helmets, they're toolie racks, because the information is not organized effectively and efficiently. And so these profiles, these matching, this idea of getting people off the app, off the platform because they're finding success, that's what really separates us. And then the other piece is that we really want to help mom and pop used gear stores all over the country. Our goal is to empower them to be able to do their job more effectively and more efficiently, getting this gear listed to a national audience without having to put in all of the e-commerce work themselves or the marketing work. So wait, not quite. Thank you. So you guys can see we've done really well with very, very little marketing effort. What we've shown over and over again is that people want more and more access to this. The fact that people are willing to list gear and go through all of the steps on a really kind of scrappy website always astounds me. And in the sake of transparency, you know, we have a long way to go to keep making this process truly more efficient and more effective. And so the fact that we've had 1,000 total listings, 400 transactions on our website is astonishing and a proof that the demand is very real. And then lastly, because of the ease and access of what we're doing, because we're not advertising yet, we have the commission transaction fees, we have membership, we will have membership fees as the platform becomes more robust. And the advertising I'm talking about is not for your REIs, it's for your local gear stores. My dream, our dream, is so that you can call me and say you want to go on a backcountry ski trip in the Swiss Alps, and we can connect you with the guide company, with all the gear you're going to need, with the whole experience to go and execute on that kind of trip. So that's what I mean by advertising. And then regarding licensing, we see this as a potential option for things outside of the used gear space. We think that we can do this for electronics. We think we can do this for books, just really streamline the used goods exchange in general. And optimistically, we're going to license those out to the companies that are already doing that. Really, really briefly, really quickly, I want to touch on who we've noticed is our key target demographic right now. And that's these young adults, these parents, these young families that really truly care about their impact on the environment and wish to make the choice to buy more responsibly. But I mean, even me, I use Amazon because it's convenient, because it's easy. I don't like myself for doing it, but I do it. And that's because what we're building does not exist for somebody like me. The analogy I always give is if you're standing there with your can of Coke and there's a trash can, but no recycling bin, how many of us are going to throw that away in the trash can because it's not easy to choose to recycle it? Now, there's a whole nother conversation about recycling in general, which is a different conversation. But that's ultimately the people we see really needing this experience soon, urgently. And then as we grow it and expand it, we hope that we can continue to grow that target market. We're going to focus on a couple key go-to-market strategies to get these people looped into the fold. It's going to start with these adventure sponsorships. We've done a cool trip across the Atlantic Ocean where some guys tried to row. We did a really cool climbing video recently that was spectacular and has continued to show results over and over again. But these experiential adventures, these shows more than advertisements, that's what's really going to grip our community and working with people that are really trying to stand out and make a difference. The brick and mortar partnerships between the nonprofits and the used gear stores is really going to culminate and help us spread the word and get the robustness of gear that we need on our platform. Talking about that original content, we've got a podcast, we've got blogs, we've got how-tos. We're really trying to bridge the gap for the education on the community. And so that's kind of what I mean with the digital content. And then lastly, we've identified that the sellers are the key people that we need to bring into the fold. The buyers are fairly easy to acquire. They're coming to our website, they're finding us. We really need people to list gear. And that's going to kind of segue me towards my ask, which is going to be the next slide. But real quick, here's my timeline. You can see how we're looking to move over the next 4 months. There's a big redesign in our future, looking to really streamline and eliminate some of these inefficiencies on our website and on our mobile app, sync everything together. We're going to make this big sales push. So my marketing team and my tech team is 2 major objectives during the next month or two. And then come February, we're fundraising right now and hopefully post funding, we'll really hit the ground running and see what happens when we're expending real resources into this business. And we're really excited to see what happens to go from bootstrapped to funded company. So here comes my ask. It's really easy, you guys. Go find that stuff in your garage for me. Go download my app, find anything that you've got out there and get it on my website. That is our single biggest struggle because we're doing so much work to build trust to get that through. So the best thing I can get is everybody in here to go list 1 or 2 pieces of gear, anything outdoorsy, anything like that, put it on our website and please give us feedback. That's the only way we're going to make this thing work for everybody is by hearing from everybody what their input is on how we can improve it and how we can make it better. So those are really my 2 big asks of you guys is go download the mobile app, find some gear to list, talk to your friends, tell them to list gear, because that robustness of equipment on our website, that's what's going to build the momentum and keep churning everything for us a lot more than looking to buy stuff on our website right now. And I think that's it. Yeah, cool. I'm Chap. Questions, thoughts, comments? Yes, I love the questions. Bring it, you guys.
Since you're a community-based company, with the product you sell, the community ask was really huge. And I think that's something that all of us definitely can do, but consider like a Facebook group.
Oh yeah.
Meetup type group, something like that.
So yes, absolutely. So the question was talking about meetups, group things. So I'm so sorry. Remind me your name.
I'm Andres.
Andres. Nice to see you again, my friend. So yes, the original concept, Andres, was events, those sorts of things. That was how this whole thing started, was I threw all my gear in a truck and trailer and drove around the country. I went to 15 events in 10 different states, and then COVID shut everything down. So that, what you're describing, those meetups, those swaps, those group settings, was 100% on the radar. We've done some work to emulate it remotely. The virtual side of this particular business, I mean, I know I want to be on my phone as little as possible. So most of our community is also not super psyched to sit on a Zoom call just for kicks and giggles. But my favorite thing that we did a week before COVID started was we ran an event with Tumble Roots Brewery up in Santa Fe, and we did beer for gear. And a bunch of people showed up. We had 3 of our charity partners there, and it was one of the coolest moments of our business so far, was having 50, 100 people show up, do this with us, bring gear there. It was great. But then COVID shut all of our doors and we really had to pivot. And that's when we started pushing hard on the peer-to-peer platform. But yes, now that people are vaccinated and boosted and that everybody kind of gets it, those events are things that are hopefully in our future again at some point. Right.
Chap, so thanks for your presentation. So could you talk a little bit about your transition from having a warehouse a peer-to-peer platform?
Yeah, so as all of us know in the entrepreneurial world, pivots are just part of it. That's the nature of the beast because we can't see the future. We don't know what those problems are 2 years ahead of time. We don't know exactly what the problem we're solving is ever. And if we feel complacent with it, we're doing something wrong. So eyeballing these pivots is always so mission critical for us. But what Brian's referencing is pre-COVID, we had about 1,500 pieces of gear sitting in a warehouse up outside of Taos, New Mexico. And we were shipping stuff out, we were bringing stuff there. And we realized what the capital, what the waste, all the movement of the logistics to get that gear to the warehouse and then out of the warehouse and all of the costs. And we just felt that we could build a much more efficient platform by automating each of these steps for the individual buyers and sellers and by leaning into bringing these used gear stores on, these charity partners on. And it was really about a question about overhead, Brian, because at that point we weren't sure we were going to raise funding. So in order to put a warehouse into place, which we've never done before, we were going to need to bring in some big time warehouse manager to make sure everything, I mean, we can barely inventory all of our gear there. So there's a major capital intensive effort. And then when I started talking about raising money to some of the investors, they asked me about this platform. And they said, hey, this is something we're much more interested in funding because you put the work into it and all of a sudden you can scale it internationally with some language work and anybody can start using it. So that's when we really put the focus here. And then additionally, Brian, we realized the mobile app side of it was so important. And if we were going to go to the work to put a mobile app in place, most of the automations for shipping, for all of that exist, and we just needed to plug the pieces together. And so I feel about 70% on our mobile app that we're doing all of the things we wanted to start doing and getting good feedback on that. We have some growth to do on our website side of it. We're actually working with Lisa right now to maybe shift platforms because Shopify is so limiting for us. But ultimately, Brian, what the move is that we felt that we could do a much better job and be more effective and efficient at it if we were able to solve this problem. My hope is that the used gear stores over time become that warehouse model. So you, Brian, can call me and say, hey, I'm in Albuquerque. I've got a box of gear. What do you want me to do with it? And say, go drop it off at, Joe's gear store and they'll deal with it for you. You're out because I'm confident that partnership will help you move your gear into the next iteration. And that alleviates all of the warehousing concerns on our end. So it's an interesting model and it's something I'm toying with constantly because it would be a lot easier to knock on doors and ask people for their gear and take it back to a warehouse and send it out. Eric, I saw pop up in the middle. Did you have something?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it's a weird question or even a question, which of course we as organizers, Tom Eric, one of the organizers from Million Cups. And one of the things that Brian's question kind of prompted for me is I'm kind of thinking about the green cost, the cost of transporting a bunch of stuff, putting it in a place and you're shipping it 2 and 3 times versus, just kind of the peer-to-peer. And I'm wondering how much like the carbon, is that part of the conversation where you're thinking of what you're doing?
Absolutely. We think constantly about it. And so out of the warehousing model, at least we could reduce one shipping transaction. We could move it from one place to another and not have to go a whole nother lap. That said, we know shipping, one of the very first things when I pitched this business to my dad 3 years ago, before we did anything, was he said, you're going to have to fight shipping because every single company in the entire world has a problem with shipping. And so that's always been very prevalent in my mind. Ideally, once the robustness of the platform is there, we can have the local option. We can say, hey, I want to do this locally. Great. Everybody can win and we can do those meetups and reduce that cost of shipping. For now, while we're still iterating on the system, that one-off, let's get it from the seller to the buyer without the buyer and seller ever having to talk to each other. That's a huge victory over all the other platforms where you meet Joe Schmo and maybe go meet him at a gas station and it's a sketchy deal. And that's not what anybody wants. This is secure, certain, and we do 3-day refunds on everything. So if you have an issue and it's not what you expected, boom, just tell us, we'll get it all sorted out for you, because I want this to feel like you're shopping on REI.
Lisa, I'll take care of the folks online, just gonna get them in queue.
Thank you.
Miriam.
Yeah, I'm intrigued because Brian's question prompted for me as well. There used to be a group of moms that would travel around the country and they'd rent out some empty building and do like a swap that would last about a week to 10 days. And it was a brilliant model on a lot of levels. It kind of fell apart after the 3rd or 4th year.
Yeah.
But I love that the concept of local stores, independent stores that can help facilitate that, because as an organizer, I go through people's garages, we find all that stuff, we take it to Goodwill if they're not willing to take it to something or list it themselves. And it's kind of nice to have one drop-off spot. You can have one trip to get all your stuff out.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that nice in between. It's still a recycle, upcycle situation, and yet it's easier than having to do each item separately.
Well, Miriam, one of the really interesting things about Goodwill or Habitat for Humanity or any of those kind of general thrift stores is, first of all, that stuff ends up in the landfill anyways. I don't know if any of you have ever seen the back of one of those places, but it is craziness. And somebody's going through and manually filtering through all of it. But guess what? Those people don't know outdoor equipment, right? And so I know the Habitat for Humanity up in Taos, they keep all their skis and ski boots outside in Taos. Now, if you guys know anything about ski boots, those ski boots are not good anymore. Nobody should buy those ski boots, but there they are sitting outside because they don't want to throw them away. And nobody's ever going to buy them. Nobody's ever going to help get them sized right. So yes, I would, those drop-offs, those swaps, all of those things, so important. It's about building infrastructure. It's about taking time. It's about building trust. And then I always loved the ski swap. What I hate about the ski swap is the very end of the ski swap, where they say, hey, take all your crap back, right? If it doesn't sell. And now, all right, cool. What really, now it's over. I'm taking the stuff back to my house. Am I going to just throw it away because I tried? Probably.
No, you take it again next year,
Yeah.
and the same thing
Yeah.
happens.
So ultimately, there's a lot of different ways we can solve this problem. The simplest way is to make the listing process take less than a minute. Because if I can make it so you can line up 10 items and spend 5-10 minutes and then instantly sell all of that stuff, guess what? It's not gonna be an issue to deal with it that way.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder when you got a bin of stuff. It takes you 5 to 10 minutes an item. You've spent 2 hours and then you're getting random messages from all sorts of people filtering the sales of all of it.
And that makes so much more sense for people like Adam and I that are going through people's stuff for us to offer that. Because right now, if they want it on eBay, then they don't want to pay the time it takes us to upload to eBay or Craigslist or whatever. But a few minutes is different than a couple hours.
And that's ultimately the value proposition that I'm trying to make for both the gear stores and the individuals is that, hey, you could have a staff spend 30 minutes a day and you could have 50, 100 items listed a day that theoretically would sell by the end of the day.
The other thing that prompts, just real quick, because it finishes the thought, is, car shops do that a lot. They both buy and sell the used parts a lot, and so that might be a place to look at the model.
The Carvana model is something that I really love. And obviously the cars are different than what we're doing. I don't know if anybody here's heard of Pro's Closet, but Pro's Closet does high-end bikes. Very similarly, they warehouse everything. Their advantage is their lowest price bike is $3,000. So they take 10% and they're making $300 and they're in really good shape. They can host the warehouse, do the repairs, they can do all of that stuff. I would love for it to be worth somebody's time to list a $10 jacket to list a $10 backpack, that it could be worth your time and help us continue to run our business. That's really what I'd love to see solved with this technology backend. Paul, I saw you raising your hand, and then maybe we can go over to the
So,
computer.
so real fast, how many used gear stores are there in the United States?
And actually, so you can kind of hear the questions from here, but not really
Oh.
well, so if you go ahead and repeat
Yep.
that, it'll help.
So Paul first asked how many used gear stores there are in the country. Did you have another part of that
Oh,
question?
that's it.
So used gear stores are weird. Almost none of them are capable of doing exclusively used gear because they don't make enough margins. They don't move it fast enough. It sits around. For whatever reason, there's a number of different variables that some gear stores have a huge retail section. Usually it's about 80%, 20%, or 70, 30% retail to used. And so out of those kind of combined stores, Paul, we feel strongly that there's 750 to 1,000 of them that have some capacity of used outdoor gear within their walls. And what I'm hoping to do is that with a platform like this, we can inspire a bunch more people to only do used gear because they don't have to turn anything away. I don't know how many times any of you have ever tried, I mean, even Goodwill, Habitat for Humanity, turn stuff away, right? Because they don't think they can sell it. They don't want to hold on to it for all of those reasons. But now the used gear store, you can bring in some weird stuff that they don't think they're going to sell on their floor, but they feel confident that they can put it on my website and make a sale fast and instantly. So we hope that not only can we help the ones that are already in existence, we can help spawn newer, smaller ones that can maintain the overhead and the traffic that they need with our platform. Lisa, you have some online questions?
We do have some online questions. Who's up first, Eric? Is it Sue?
It's super, yeah.
Sue, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. Sue Prolazny. Maybe she stepped
Now,
away.
Christopher may have already partially answered this question online, so I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, you've got your team answering questions online.
Good.
Great, too.
Good job,
They've
team.
They've been very helpful.
I appreciate that. That's what they're here for.
Let's see.
If we don't hear from them, it's Clifton next.
Oh, I guess, Clifton, please ask your question.
So I think you may have answered it a little bit when you were talking about the how you're going to help. You want a partnership with brick and mortar, and you need sellers. So how about creating some sort of a sponsorship package opportunity for Play It Again Sports? Is one that I know of. And you're right, they sell a lot of brand new stuff. So I appreciate your point there. But so again, I think you might have answered it, because this would be just like on Craigslist. You know, I can look at used products sold by owner only or by dealer. You know, have you given that kind of a model some sort of thought? And have you been to Regear? Because they could sure use some help.
So funny, Clifton, that you mentioned Regear. Every single person I've talked to since I moved down here has had that same opinion about Regear. And it's about that inventory management. It's about the business operational side. They need to get stuff online, but the energy and effort to get their used goods online, the software just does not exist for resale businesses online. Think about us. I would love to be kind of a Shopify for used gear stores, to give them the tools, the platform, the resources to move this stuff really fast and efficiently without having to do any of the work themselves. So I really appreciate the sponsorship mention. And yes, that's exactly my goal, is to take, we'll just use Regear, for example, to take Regear, give them a homepage on our website to say, hey, look, this is all the stuff Regear has. They're in Albuquerque. Here's their story, you know, the guy that runs it, this is what his deal is. And then really empower them, give them a podcast platform, give them the ability to go share their story on our social medias, because by curating this much larger audience than they would be able to do individually, that's really where everybody's going to see the most benefit, is by expanding everybody's reach in a really magnified way. And I'm sorry, Clifton, too, you were breaking up in and out. So I want to make sure, did I answer your question all the way?
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
Alan, you're up.
I have two questions. You mentioned in your opening that you plan to sell memberships. And the question that comes from that is, why would I want to be a member? What benefit would I get as a member that I wouldn't get as a non-member?
Yeah, so Clifton, or sorry, not Clifton, Alan, that's a great question and something we've been exploring a lot. What our feeling is it's gonna be priorities. It's gonna say, hey, if you're a member with us, we'll list your gear, make sure to pop it to the top of the queue. We'll make sure that you're the first ones to get notified when that match happens. And then once it passes that first priority queue, then it'll go down to the free members, so to speak. And so that's kind of how we envision it happening is you get 24-hour head start, you get notified first, and then it pops down. Although, as we're developing our platform, Alan, we're learning a lot about what people really care about. We're primarily focused on just making sure the functions do what we want them to do and do what we say they're gonna do. We expect via asking for feedback in situations like this, we'll continue to be able to iterate on the product and aside from priority, be able to offer more additional things, more features, functions, maybe some of that curation stuff I was talking about. Hey, you get your adventure travel guide as a part of this that you can contact 24 hours a day and they'll help you get set up with your trip up in the Swiss Alps. But we're certainly, that's kind of in our mind, Alan, 6 to 12 months down the line. So I have that prioritization at the top of my radar, but we're certainly looking to explore what some of those other memberships might look like. That said, we're estimating to roll it out at $1 or $2 a month. We're really not looking for that Amazon Prime type of membership at the $10, $12 a month range. We're really looking at what you pay for kind of a mobile app game or something really simple. And we also think, Alan, that probably there'll be some counterbalance with the commission percentages that the memberships will offer. That will, hey, you're a member, we'll take 50% off of our commission fees because that gives us that monthly recurring.
Yeah, I don't think you want to take 50% off your commission for $1 or $2 a month.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, because with memberships, the question you need to answer is when it comes time to renew your membership is what am I getting for this and why do I want to renew? And if you can answer that question, then a membership program could probably work. My other question is a bit more serious, and that's what processes and protocols do you have in place to prevent fraud and because what came to mind was I can easily see people wanting to use you as a fence for stolen property. And so what do you have in place to deal with that?
Fantastic question, and something that we've been consistently exploring within our team to try to mitigate and moderate those sorts of risks. First of all, we're really vetting products. We're really trying to vet the people that are looking to sell on our platform to the very best of our ability. Something we've been exploring and we're working through what legally this might look like is we're thinking we want to require IDs and put identification behind our sellers, not for the public facing side of everything, not that we'd share your identity with our buyers, but that we would know your identity and you know that you've given us your identity. And so obviously this is going to be a problem with any peer-to-peer marketplace. We're going to have mistakes that happen. However, what we can do is we can make sure that no matter what happens, the buyer is going to be happy and that anybody that's, we've had once or twice, somebody has sent the wrong good to a seller or to a buyer. They've sent the wrong thing. Mistakes happen. So we buy that item back. We make sure everybody's squared up. The seller keeps their money in that sense because that was just the wrong item. Everybody's kind of happy. We've worked really hard on that. To your point though, Alan, we have a long way to go in really putting those security backends together in a really high volume way. What we're doing right now is we're taking the Google approach to it, and my team and I are doing it manually, and we're not at a scale that's big enough yet that we've had many run-ins with issues of that ilk. That said, it's something we take very seriously, and we're constantly working on ways to improve that back end and those protocols. But my philosophy has always been, for now, since we're a trust broker, I do whatever it takes to continue to build that trust. And I work really hard to make sure that both my buyers and sellers, at the end of every transaction, are extremely satisfied. And that engagement is helping to mediate some of those issues. That is a big focus of these ongoing efforts post-funding, to continue to develop our platform from the bootstrap nature of it.
Yeah, I would encourage you to have some conversation with the local FBI office, because you're selling online, so you're selling across state lines. So it would involve that kind of crime, and to spend a little time with the APD to get their advice and incorporate their, because they're dealing with it on a daily basis. And rather than you try to reinvent the wheel, rely on their expertise to incorporate. I mean, there's no foolproof system that you can put in place, but if you get experts to give you some guidance, that will be a help to you. So good luck.
That's a great suggestion, Alan. I really appreciate that.
Just to build on that, they actually have training materials.
Really?
Pawn shops and things. to
Cool.
help recognize stolen properties.
Those are both fantastic suggestions, and I will certainly look into that, Alan, because all the help and guidance we can get in that regard is only going to stand to benefit us. What I will say is we're a lot better at moderating it than eBay and Craigslist are right now. We're a lot better moderators than the recklessness of those platforms. But yes, it is desperately a major concern of ours and something we're constantly working on.
One last question from online from Emily.
Emily's gonna share some great feedback.
Hi,
Team
Emily.
Tari's.
Hi, Chap. How are you?
Fantastic. Good to see you again.
Yes, good to see you too. I was just looking at the app as you were talking. I downloaded it and I didn't really see a general overview of how it works. So I would just suggest, especially immediately after download, that you give people a quick explanation of what they're getting into and how to use the app, both as a seller and a buyer.
Would you do it, Emily, as a video, or would you try to explain it with words?
Probably both, honestly, just because people use learning in different ways or learn things in different ways. But even just quick explanation of what's going on would, I think, set everyone's expectations right away.
That's a great suggestion. It's something I noticed on another app I downloaded and started thinking about. So I really appreciate that, and we'll definitely work on that.
Those guided tours and features are really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome.
Andres, one more question.
Yeah, so I was looking at your Instagram and it just really excites me because I feel like your brand has so much potential to like really look like REI or better with just the right photography and like influencer connections and like guest posts and all that stuff. I just think there's so much potential. So that's just my first thought. And
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And but just my other final thought is similar to Emily, is like it's on Instagram, it shares like what you do, but I think it would also be very helpful to share like what your purpose, like your why. So that's just my point.
So Andrea said that he appreciates the brand structure of our Instagram, which very flattering. We've worked hard to cultivate that brand, and I think that that's something my team and I do exceptionally well, is have alignment about kind of our purpose and our brand identity. That said, I do think Emily's right, you're right. There's a lot of missing pieces as we've layered everything together, because it's changed so much, so many times, and we never really reset the dials with some of those changes. And so I think that in these next upcoming months, you guys will see a lot of both website and mobile changes that will really cater to both those last couple of comments, that will do a better job of explaining the why, explaining how, getting people more comfortable and acquainted, because we're still learning exactly what that means.
Awesome. Clifton, go ahead and ask your question. We have a couple more minutes.
So you know, I think that probably you're finding that some products work better than others. You know, I've got funky sized feet. I will never buy shoes online. But, you know, I could look at a kayak and maybe take a shot at that. How do you deal with returns is the real.
Oh, yeah. So for now, they're just coming back to my garage and we're resending them out. So somebody has a beef, we just get it back to the house down here in Albuquerque, relist it on the website and get it sold. That way, again, is how we're dealing with the returns. I've explored starting our own retail store. That's something I've considered. I'm kind of bouncing around. I would love feedback on that particular thing. And that would really help deal with those returns in a really effective, efficient way. If we could just have them on our website and have them in a retail storefront that people could come in. That said, alternate of that, I do have dreams of having a warehouse at least to facilitate the returns. I also, as excited and ambitious as I am, I'd love to deal with repairs. I'd love to deal with upcycling. I'd really love to take on the full umbrella scope of everything that's going on. So for now, the returns are just coming back to my garage. We're getting them listed again. But long term, I really hope to have other options to deal with those returns.
Fantastic. So Chap, we have two final questions. Red or green?
I am a sucker for green chili since I've been down here in New Mexico.
And what's the one thing this community can do for you?
Go list your gear. Find gear. Ask your friends. If you see a dirty garage, tell them about us. Get everybody you know to list gear. Grab stickers. Don't forget. And that's the biggest thing that anybody can do right now to help us. Also, we're just always looking for more people that care about what we're doing, because this has to be a together effort. It's too urgent, it's too important, it's too ambitious for my team and I to think we can do this by ourselves. And what it's going to take is it's going to take everybody making the decision that they want to choose used over choosing new. And hopefully we can make the platform that makes that possible.
Yes, sir. Having you.
Bye, everybody online. Thank you.
So I'm not sure we have any newbies except for perhaps Samantha, who must be Chap's wife.
Yes, that's correct.
Samantha, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm so sorry. I'm kind of not in a place where I can be on camera right now, but hi, everyone. I'm Samantha. I'm Chap's wife. And I've been a part of Rerouted since the beginning. So I'm glad that you are all here and asking questions and giving us feedback. It's so valuable and we really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming today, Samantha. So I'm going to officially put down in our attendance that we had one newbie. Do we have any other newbies? No, someone who's never been here before? I think online we're good. Awesome. Okay. Eric, do we have any announcements?
Let's see. Well, I've got one that I'll share. I'll just say, let's see, there's plenty of stuff going on, but the one that's just right here in my laptop here is that Santa Fe Innovates now teamed up with UNM Anderson to do their accelerator. Sort of a pre-accelerator, but they've got some nice benefits participating. I believe it's free. And that, if you check out SantaFeInnovates.com, you can find information about that. The application deadline is January 22nd, and it starts January 29th.
Awesome. William, you had your hand up?
Yes, yeah, I always seem to have one question. I should have asked the speaker, but I was thinking, you know, I was repurposing some sports gear for other things, like buying old bicycles and putting electric motors on them. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I was buying these old bicycles and putting hub motors on them and selling them. That worked. So I was repurposing some of the gear. I took a pair of these skis, these cross-country skis, and flipped them sideways and put an axle through them and put a hub motor on those and made us like a electric skateboard. You know, I like to
That's
innovate, but it was just fun, and you could just torque it to steer it, you know, with your feet.
I
But
want to.
you know, if there's probably a lot of things that you could repurpose too that might be bring it more to date if it's dated, or yeah, that was just my comment.
Yes, William, I have large dreams of really solving upcycling, recycling, reuse. I want to fix it all. I just have to focus somewhere for now, but I'm waiting for my SoftBank connection where somebody hands me $4 billion and says, go nuts. That's what I'm looking for right now.
All right.
Thank you.
I think we're done for today. As always, we need presenters. Please apply to present at 1mcabq.com. We have a good team of coaches who will help you prepare for your presentation. And I guess that's it. So we'll see everybody next week. Thanks so much for joining us.